Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's class. It's going to be taken from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 3, texts 28 and 29. And by the mercy of Guru and Guranga, I'll be giving the class, so I'll start right away. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Yashodanandana Vrajadhanarandana Yashodanandana Vrajadhanarandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Vrinda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Vrinda Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Yashodanandana Vrajadhanarandana Yamuna Kiravana Chari Yamuna Kira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Nitai Gora Chandra Nitai Gora Chandra Gora Hare Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Gora Nitai Jaya Gora Nitai Jaya Gora Nitai Jaya Gora Nitai Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Gurudev Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Nitai Gora Haribo 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 Nitai Gora Haribo Nitai Gora Haribo 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 Nitai Gora Haribo Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivajikacharya Stotra Satyasishimada's Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivajikacharya Stotra Satyasishimada's Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mathura Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Swami Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai Samaveda Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Nitai Gora Pramanande Hare Hare Bo All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Deda Swami Nitya. Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Siddhartha Sri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Deda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna. So, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 3, text 28. Rahati apana bhakta ganakari sange Vitivite avatari kalmu naradange Rahati apana bhakta ganakari sange Vitivite avatari kalmu naradange Rahati apana bhakta ganakari sange Vitivite avatari kalmu naradange Hare Krishna. Anyone who wants to chant, give it a try now.
Ahate apan bhakti ghan kari sange Pichivete avatari karimu nana range.
Jai. Hare Krishna. Jai.
ताहते अपना भक्त गण करी संगे पृथ्वी ते अवतारी करी मुना रंगे
Jai. Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Hare Krishna. All right. So before we do the word for word, I was asked to preach this morning because Bhagavad Prabhu is not feeling well. So he made us understand that he needed someone to do the service in his place. That's why I'm on this morning. Okay. So word for word, Tahate in that, Apana, my own, Bhaktagana, with devotees, Kari, doing, Sange, in association, Pritivite, on the earth, Avatari, descending, Karimu, I shall perform, Nana, various, Rangi, colorful pastimes. Translation by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Therefore, in the company of my devotees, I shall appear on earth and perform various colorful pastimes. Text 29. Etavavi Kali Kali Pratama Sandhyaya Avatena Haile Krishna Apani Nadiyaya. Word for word. Eta, thus. Bhavi, thinking. Kali Kali, in the age of Kali. Prathama, first. Sandhyaya, in the junction. Avatirna, Hoila, descended. Krishna, Lord Krishna. Apani, himself. Nadiyaya, in Nadia. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Thinking thus, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna himself, descended at Nadia early in the age of Kali. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Pratama Sandhya is the beginning of the age. According to astronomical calculation, the age is divided into 12 parts. The first of these 12 divisions is known as Pratama Sandhya. The Pratama Sandhya and Shesha Sandhya, the last division of the preceding age, forms the junction of the two ages. According to the Surya Siddhanta, the Pratama Sandhya of Kali Yuga lasts 36,000 solar years. Lord Chaitanya appeared in the Pratama Sandhya after 4,586 solar years of Kali Yuga had passed. So, very interesting purport, mathematical too. Oma Genati Virandasya, Gyana Gena Shalakaya, Chakshu Unmilitam Yena, Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale, Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadandikam. Excuse me. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Pada Kamalam Sri Guru Vaisnavam Sicha. Sri Rupa Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam. Tadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam. Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Sivishakam Vitam Sicha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhi Jaganpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate. Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Paramami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatrubhascha Kripa Sunive Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sidvaita Gadadha Shivachari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirveshesha Sunyavadi Paschachari Sitarimi. Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Guachiche Nama. Ananda Lila Maya Vigrahaya Himadya Divacha Vishnaraya Tasmi Mahaprema Raspadaya Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Hare Krishna. So, text 28. So, the translation is, therefore, in the company of my devotees, I shall appear on earth and perform various colorful pastimes. So this is Sri Krishna speaking about coming to the earth, and also is explaining the way he was going to come to the earth. He said he would come in the company of his devotees. It has been explained that when a very dignified personality is coming to a particular place, even here on this earth, even among those of us that are conditioned souls, a person with a very high post or a politician usually president of a country, there will be people that will come ahead of him to the place where he's going to be, or he or she is going to be. Then there will be people who will come with their personality, and then usually when it's finished, then whatever it is that he's going to do, they leave, and things are cleared off. Those who are supposed to take down things that were set up for his appearance, they do the clearing work. Or sometimes people of the press may want to meet that personality and ask him some questions, ask him or her some questions after the main activity, or it may be part of it too. But the point of it is, they come, people come before them, people come with them, and then people come after them. So it is not surprising here that Krishna said that in the company of his devotees, that is his pure devotees, he shall appear on this earth and perform various colorful pastimes. This is a very wonderful statement for the earth. The Lord is coming. Actually, this also coincides with the pleas by Advaita Acharya, the requests by Advaita Acharya, that he come himself, Krishna come himself. So when he was coming, he did inform Radharani that he would appear on the earth and appear in his mood. This is the internal reason. I mean, appear in her mood. That was the internal reason that Lord Chaitanya appeared, Krishna appearing as a devotee himself. Krishna is always the Lord. He can never not be the Lord. But he plays different roles based on his own will and what he wants to do, and what benefits his devotees and benefits that particular planet the most. He does that. When he came with the end of Dwapara Yuga, he definitely cleared the earth of many demons. Some of it he did it himself, even when he was very, very small and in his mother's lap at the time. Putana and Shakatasura got eliminated at that time. And as he grew up, more demons were sent by Kansa, and then he got rid of them. So he also spoke the Bhagavad Gita in the battlefield of Kurukshetra to Arjun, and Arjun asking questions, and Arjun playing the role that usually conditioned souls play. Don't want to get to say, oh, I don't want to kill people. It's very, very, very gross thing to do. And Srila Prabhupada has commented that some people take advantage of the killing that happened in the Kurukshetra war, and they say, oh, Krishna is encouraging killing. Therefore, it is all right to kill. Because Krishna has said that Arjuna should kill, and it will be okay. And he calls them, as you might well imagine, Srila Prabhupada calls them rascals. He just says, yes, Krishna is encouraging Arjuna, but Krishna is encouraging Arjuna to do his duty. The duty happens to be a Kshatriya type duty, and when that duty is on, there is killing. But Krishna was asking Arjuna to do his duty. And then he spoke so many things based on Arjuna requesting that he become a disciple and not just a friend. So many things with a good 18 chapters, 700 texts in Bhagavad Gita. So many things that Krishna says that one should do, culminating in surrendering to the Lord. Now, if we surrender to the Lord, and we can surrender when we learn to love the Lord. And many of us have not reached the Krishna prema stage, therefore surrendering becomes difficult for us. But right now, if we are to some extent or to a high extent serious about our devotion, then at least what we've been told to do, our instructions from the spiritual master, Sadhana Bhakti, we are trying to do that to the best of our ability. But it still boils down to surrender. And Krishna says that he will, in fact, he will, in fact, take care of all sinful reactions. You don't have to worry about those if we surrender. So how do you surrender? Well, best thing is to be told, but better than that is to be shown how it's done. So Krishna told us what to do. And Lord Chaitanya, Krishna appeared this time to perform pastimes because of colorful pastimes and also show devotees what to do. So he appeared as a devotee. Many people thought he was a wonderful, special devotee, but they didn't know he was a Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. He came in the color of Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani gave Krishna the color as a protective shield, because she said to him that if you're going to come in the kind of bhav that I use, which is Madanatya Mahabhav, the combination of all the levels of prema, the 7 levels of prema, a combination of all of them is that which only Srimati Radharani has. And he says, you coming in that Madanatya Mahabhav, then you're going to be really, 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 really very, very, very excited. So excited that your physical body may not be able to handle it. I mean, not physical body. Your body may not be handled. Krishna doesn't have a physical body. Yes, spiritual body. So I apologize. So your body may not be able to handle it. So that's why you have the Gora, that color, that skin of Srimati Radharani. So Lord Gauranga comes, Krishna comes as Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he comes in the company of his devotees. Some of the gopis and manjaris take male bodies because the pastime is going to be such that later on that the Lord is going to take sannyas, and for sannyas, people that are around them have to be mostly male devotees as part of the etiquette. So Ramananda Rai is Vishaka, he comes. So Damodar is Lalita. So the main devotees who are very close to the Lord in the spiritual world, they come down with them. There's so many others that come, taking male bodies, and with him to perform these wonderful pastimes. Lord Chaitanya is so merciful. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gurachise Namaha. How? Well, he worked on the minds of people who had strayed away from the path, including the demonic people. He worked on the minds of. When Krishna came towards the end of Dwapara Yuga, he physically got rid of demons, got rid of their bodies, killed them, gave them liberation, true enough, but killed them also. This time, he wanted to change the minds of those on this earth from being very much involved in sense gratification to controlling the senses and chanting the holy name of the Lord. One major thing he did also was that even though it's very difficult to get, and that is Krishna Prema, he was freely distributing Krishna Prema. That when you connected with him, everything about him is wonderful. His chanting, very heavily enthusiastic. Those that were with him doing the same thing. He is very tall, he's very attractive. And so just being attracted to him and doing what he did, he actually imbued in the hearts of people Krishna Prema. So we are taking a while, if you're like me, to get to Krishna Prema, but he takes care of that too, Lord Chaitanya, to the Shishastaka, which we will get to a little later. So Krishna is very, very merciful. And in the next text, in 29, when he was thinking like that, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna himself, descended in Navadvip, Nadia, early in the age of Kali. Mhm. A little about 5,000 years ago, but this time in this purport, the Prabhupada breaks it down mathematically. He says that the Prathama Sandhya is the beginning of the age. So according to astronomical calculation, the age is divided into 12 parts. And the first of its 12 divisions is known as Prathama Sandhya, and the Shesha Sandhya is the last division of the preceding age. So the last division of the preceding age, in this case, Dwapara Yuga, and then Prathama Sandhya, that those two form the junction of the two ages. So according to Surya Siddhanta, so this is directly from what Srila Prabhupada wrote, the Prathama Sandhya of Kali Yuga lasts 36,000 solar years. And if you have a mathematical mind, you start thinking, oh, okay, so it lasts 36,000 solar years, our years. And if Kali Yuga is divided into 12, these Sandhyas are 12 parts, and one part is 36,000 years. Well, let me see. We will have to do a calculation of the years. 36,000 times 12 then should be the entire duration of the age, the Kali age. So I took my calculator, and you can do it if you want, if you have one handy, 36,000 times 12, and it will give you 432,000 years, the very duration of Kali Yuga. So it is, in fact, absolutely dead on that if you divide Kali Yuga into 12, Kali Yuga 432,000 divided by 12 is 36,000. So the age is divided by 12, or the age, and the first one, Pratama Sandhya, 36,000 years. And after 4,586, then solar years of Kali Yuga had passed, then the Lord came as Lord Chaitanya. So again, you can add this, the years, and do your calculation if you want, then you will know exactly when the Lord came. So 4,586 solar years. So Lord Chaitanya gave us so much mercy, because to be shown, to be told how to do things and to be shown is even better. You just get to know how whatever it is that's being taught goes. On top of that, as he performed wonderful pastimes with his mom, the things that he did when he was 16 years old, that he met a very, very, very distinguished scholar who was going around one place to another in India, defeating the other scholars there, and he came to Navadvip thinking he was going to defeat the Navadvip scholars too. But then Sri Chaitanya, at the age of 16, was actually asked to talk to this particular person or debate this person, call himself Digvijay. So he had following crowd with him, and he met Lord Chaitanya Nimai, he was called at that time, at the banks of the Ganga. And Nimai had his small school, depending on how you look at it. This Digvijay has so many people, thousands of people following him. But Lord Chaitanya was very, very nice to him and requested that, here's the Ganga, please compose some poetry in glorification of the Ganga. And immediately, immediately he composed 100 verses of the Ganga, about the Ganga. But the Lord was listening. And the Lord listened very intently. And when he finished, he thanked him. Then Nimai said, but there is some things that are not right according to the rules of poetry. And some things that are redundant that you have said. And so go back on your own poetry and correct those. And Digvijay, huge, very proud person, said, there can't be any mistakes. Because he had the blessings of Mata Saraswati, Saraswati Mata herself. Just like when he speaks, that Saraswati Mata is like dancing on his tongue. So many things come out, and she is, of course, the the one who is basically, if you wanted to be educated and be very good, and be scholarly, then you appeal to her. And so he had blessings from her, and therefore he just thought that nothing could be wrong with what he said. But Nimai insisted, and then Nimai became more specific. Okay, in the text 66, you said this, you said that, and you have talked about Lord Shiva's wife was Bhavani, but then you talked about it in a way that was redundant, and so many things he pointed out. And then other times too, he was trying to be. It's called the way in which I will just give an example because that's the best way to describe it. And you go to use words like playing with the words. One example, and this is just a common example, it's like she sells seashells at the seashore. Playing with words like that. But this Digvijay, he used that in one of the texts, but in the poetry, so that set of 4 lines, he used 3 of them playing with the words like that. But at the 4th line, the very last line, he changed it, and you're not supposed to do that. So Nimai pointed that out also. So many things were there that Nimai pointed out, and now he was beginning to get very, very surprised. Okay, so there are really mistakes. Now, the way Lord Chaitanya handled him, Lord Chaitanya's students actually started laughing at him. But Lord Nimai stopped them. And basically, you should still show respect. When a person makes a mistake, it doesn't mean that you start laughing at them. Even now, there's something that we have to be careful of. 4 defects of persons includes making a mistake. So that will happen, even with us now. So we have to always be respectful and handle things of that nature nicely. So the person doesn't get really, really embarrassed on top of the mistake that they made. So that was one thing that Nimai taught us by how he handled the students. He still told this guy, go back and learn. Tonight, we will discuss some things about Shastra. We won't do poetry tomorrow, but you discuss some things about the scriptures tomorrow. So you come. But that night, as he slept, Goddess Saraswati came to him in his dream and told him that the one that you're debating, that you call the teenager Nimai, is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead, my worshipful Lord that is there. And so that shocked Digvijay. He came back and he was very humble. The next day, fell at the lotus feet of Nimai, of Lord Chaitanya. So in so many ways, in other places too, there were sannyasis that were thinking that the Lord, after he initiated or inaugurated the chanting of the holy name, he thought that the Lord was just someone who was not educated, someone who only just chanted the holy name of the Lord, and you are a sannyas at that time, that the Lord was taking sannyas. And that he should be reading Vedanta and discussing Vedanta and not just going around and chanting the holy name of the Lord. But that was actually the age, the Kali Yuga age, you get down. So the Lord inaugurated that. And the chanting was blissful. But then these sannyasis were acting like, oh, he's just a sentimentalist. He doesn't take things so serious. We are the ones that are studying Vedanta and so on. But it was arranged to a Brahmin that he went to see them. And these sannyasis that were puffed up, first he offered respect to them, and then he didn't even come to where they were sitting. He just sat on the place where they washed their feet, but then he shone, literally. His effulgence was just so captivating that they realized that this was a personality that was a special personality. So they invited him. He talked with them, but then in the end, to cut a long story short, he changed their minds. First, he took the humble position and says, my Guru Maharaj, you say I should read Vedanta. My Guru Maharaj considered me a fool. So Prabhupada says that when a spiritual master looks at you in a certain way and regards you in a certain way, you have to accept that. The spiritual master sees things from the spiritual standpoint. So there's no point that you start talking about things if you're materially highly educated. You don't start talking about things when the spiritual master is dealing with spiritual things. And the other point is he also represents the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, what he tells the disciple is things from the Lord. You have to assume that the Lord was standing in front of you. That's what you're going to hear from the Lord. The spiritual master is a representative of Krishna. Therefore, those of us that went to school and got big degrees in front of the spiritual master, it doesn't mean anything. And I've had to remind myself many times. And actually, the more we humble ourselves in front of our spiritual masters, the better off we become. The better in terms of him being pleased with us, and the Lord is also pleased with us. Yashat Prasad, Bhagavad Prasadam. Srila Prabhupada has defined that. It has its meaning, but Srila Prabhupada has also said, when Guru is satisfied and Krishna is satisfied. So, and I could tell some stories. In Washington, D.C., there were a number of us that we were preparing to come to Pennsylvania. And there was one meeting, and there's a number of highly qualified material people at the meeting. It's about 2 PhDs, 1 attorney, and all of that. And then trying to have a meeting. And I actually was asked to moderate the meeting, that particular one. So I started by saying, with all due respect, let's put our material degrees aside and humbly discuss the points that our Guru Maharaj has asked us to talk about. This was Bhakti Maharaj's meeting of his disciples. And later on, when I went to see him in private, he asked me, so how did the meeting go? And I said, it went quite well. The only thing towards the end that we had set a time to finish that, but there's some people that wanted to go on and on and on and on. And that's the only time I put my foot down and said, okay, so our people have other places to go to. The meeting was designed to finish at this time, and therefore it should finish at that particular time. And so we can just do Vanchakalpa Tarubhishcha Kripa Sunibhavacha. And after that, if people want to make more discussions, then they can go on their own, but that will be outside the meeting. And then Bhakti Maharaj asked, what else? And I said, well, at the beginning of the meeting, I mentioned that some of us have big degrees by material standards, but it wouldn't matter here. Let's put all of that on the side and, humbly discuss things that are spiritual, the things that are being guided to do. And he liked that very much. And in fact, the next time that he had to be met with us, he also brought up the point. He says, yes, materially, when you have a big degree, it may help you financially and so on. But when it comes to Krishna consciousness, you gotta humble yourself and not play that degree up, because Maya will in fact make us think like that. Just like Digvijay thought that he was so unbeatable, and the 16-year-old Nimai showed him, and then Goddess Saraswati finally brought him back to reality. So the pastimes of his Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Chaitanya, are numerous. They are numerous. The whole Chaitanya Bhagavat, the whole Chaitanya Chaitamrita. There's one thing after another. But the one thing that he has said for us is that everybody that you meet, you tell them to chant. Chant the holy name. Chant the holy name. Now, as far as chanting the holy name, he wrote the Shastaka, the 8 texts. And the third one, which he says is that the mood that we need to be in, the mood of humility. Trinara Pishni Chena Taro Sahishnuna, Amanina Manadena Ketaniya Sada Hari. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind. There was one class, it was in Girinagri, and during the questions time, there was a question, I forget exactly how the question was put, but I remember the answer quite well. And the answer was connected to the fact that we don't own anything. We do not own anything. And it's not difficult to prove that. We come to this world with nothing. When we leave this world at death, we can't take anything with us. So between birth and death, then we meet some things here, which is called nature, things in nature, things that are directly from nature and things that have been taken and fashioned into other things, we call houses and cars and so on, but all of the starting materials are from nature. We can't take any of those. Even the ones that we fashion into another type of product, we can't take with us when we leave. So if you didn't come with nothing, we didn't come with nothing, and we leave without anything, then what makes us think we own anything here? We do not. And so a person has to humble themselves and understand that nature is set up in such a way that we can only use the things that we have here. And if we use it for our own sense gratification, then we wasted our time. If we use it to serve Krishna, that is the smartest thing to do. And that is what saves us out of this, takes us out of this place, because it is a place of suffering. Right now, people have kind of accepted the way things are and they kind of manage, because if you go to school and struggle and get some degree and then get some employment from that degree with a certain amount of money that's given, and you're able to keep the bills paid, and you're able to go on and even have some money left over that you can save, then you say, well, I'm doing all right. But Srila Prabhupada says this is the place of what? Continued suffering. In the spiritual world, Srila Prabhupada said there's just bliss. That's all there is, bliss. Here, there is happiness, distress. In the spiritual world, there's only bliss. Bliss means the highest happiness. So people are really, really, really happy in the spiritual world. And here we have to work whether we like it or not. Things are available, but you have to work to get them. And on top of that, this physical body that we have will break down in called disease, and it will break down due to old age, and it will give us problems, and then later on pass death. So what is so wonderful about that? So a person that says, I'm doing okay, is not realizing that they are trying to manage in a place of correction. This is jail. And all they're doing is counteracting the situation. Because if you turn the things that they say they are okay with around, for example, a person gets or loses their job and now there's no money coming in, immediately anxiety sets in. What to do? You cannot manage. That situation never happens in the spiritual world. There is no situation where you can't manage how to live. Not in the spiritual world. But here it happens. And so people who are doing well, it's like a person hanging on to a branch of a tree, and there's a big drop down below, that if we let go of the tree, they will just fall like an edge tree grown on the edge of a cliff, for example. And those who are doing well are those who are able to strongly hang on to a branch, a strong branch of that tree. And that is called doing well. You still have to labor to hang on to that branch. And that's called work. And that's called some of the other things they have to do. And those who are not doing well, they just at the limb that they can easily fall at any time. And they are afraid. And the persons that are saying we are okay in this world are the ones that are hanging on to a strong branch of that tree. But everybody has to do the labor of hanging on to a branch of a tree. And this is called material life. And this is called I'm okay. How can that be? So the spiritual world is where the Lord wants us to go back to. And he has come as a personality, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, and he's saying, chant in a humble state of mind. Think of oneself as Lord in a straw in the street, and be more tolerant than a tree. Meaning that we have to tolerate things that happen because they will happen. Happiness and distress happen in everybody's life. It's set up like that. In fact, the amount of happiness and amount of distress is set up before a person's life begins, and you can't change it. But you still can serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead by serving the devotees in love. In other words, being there for them, making their problems our problem, which means we learn to be compassionate, and through that, develop the right consciousness for chanting. We should be devoid of the false ego, and we should be ready to offer respects to others. Very, 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 very important thing. We shouldn't be expecting respect. As Srila Prabhupada said in a purport of Bhagavad Gita chapter 13, text 8 through 12, the qualities that it lists and says, those are knowledge, and anything outside of that is ignorance. And the first one is amanitva, which is humility. And he defines it, and many people do it this well that preach, that not hanker for the distinction of being honored. And look forward to being honored. We should honor others. We should give respect to others. And then Lord says, in such a state of mind, then one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. It gets to the heart. This is the nature of the heart. The soul is humble. So humility is a difficult concept to understand because someone is foreign. The world order is basically the pig society. They want this and want this, and sometimes stepping on others to get promotion and so on, and sabotaging. This is all going around in this Kali Yuga. So then the Lord says, Lord Chaitanya says, one should be different. Chant the holy name of the Lord. So we are swimming against the Kali Yuga type current, but with the Lord's representative, Guru, following the instructions of Guru, based on Srila Prabhupada's instruction. He is the Param Guru. So with that, then we will stay steady, and the Lord's coming to the earth, we would also take advantage of it, so that we'll be able to go back to the spiritual world, and go back to the place where that is always blissful. And everything we do is voluntary, based on the love that we have for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So thank you for allowing me to do this service. And now we can open up for questions and comments. I see at least a couple of my senior devotees here on this, and if they could make comments, that would be wonderful. Or anybody else who also wants to ask a question or make a comment can do so at this time. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. So you can unmute yourself and make a comment. Hare Krishna. Jai Vishnu Prabhu, please go
Hare
ahead.
Krishna Parikit Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I didn't quite get you were making the point about Lord Chaitanya and Krishna appearing in golden form, and that there was some, if he didn't, could you repeat that? I didn't catch that meaning of that.
The conversation that Krishna had with Radharani about him wanting to appear in the material of the earth, especially in his bhav, in the bhav of, not his bhav, in her bhav, that the mood of Srimati Radharani, which is a combination of all the different types of Krishna prema levels. Radharani has all of that. And so what's been explained to me was that Radharani gave her complexion, the color of her skin, to Krishna, and that was to protect him, especially when the times when he's in ecstasy and the things that he would do to himself in ecstasy, chanting the name of the Lord.
Well, I'm not understanding how it would protect him.
Well, it's from a material standpoint, it's going to be difficult to kind of get that, but from what's been explained to me, Srimati Radharani has a golden color, and the golden color is supposed to be able to protect the Lord. I don't know beyond that how it can.
Okay, do you know where that's the golden color protection? Is that from some particular Shastra there or someplace? Do you know?
No, I heard it in a lecture. It's been a long time. I don't remember it this way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never heard that before, just that it was a protection thing. I never heard that. Did you
that I remember that I forget who said that, but if I would speculate, I'd say Govinda Maharaj, because from that time I was listening to a lot of lectures by him.
Govinda Maharaj. Oh, okay.
Go Govinda Maharaj.
Oh, Gaur Govinda Maharaj.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So when you were doing your mathematical calculations, did you figure out what the start date of Kali Yuga was?
Well, that's been 5,000 years ago.
Exactly, because it's right there, right? 4,586 solar years at Lord Chaitanya's. We know the date of Lord Chaitanya's appearance, right? 1486 AD. So if you subtract 4,586 years from that, you get what?
I'll have to do it.
Yeah, you get it's 3,100 BC. 3,100 BC, the start of Kali Yuga.
Okay.
An interesting point. And you were mentioning about how some of the followers were making fun of Digvijay Pandit when he made the mistakes. Is that in the Chaitanya Bhagavat? Because I never heard that either. Is that from the Chaitanya Bhagavat? Because in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's no mention like that.
It doesn't say that. It's most powerful because I read both of them, and sometimes there are some details on one that's not in the other. Yes. But they certainly did, in fact, make a little fun. They laughed at him.
So that must be in the Chaitanya Bhagavat.
Probably in the Bhagavat, yeah. Because I also remember when it's this whole thing about the Chankazi going after the whole wonderful Sankirtan, and stopping and breaking Nodanga. The Lord organized 100,000 people to go to the Chankazi's house and Chaitanya Bhagavat says that they did in fact get into the first floor and they destroyed quite a few things belonging to.
That's a little more violent in the
Yeah.
Chaitanya Bhagavat than it
Bhagavat,
seems
yeah,
to be.
then it is, yeah.
Seems to be in
And
the
it doesn't
Chaitanya
talk
Charitamrita.
so sometimes these things, and it's
Seems a little
nice
bit
to
different.
have both, extra details from different from the two books.
Yeah. And there are some cowherd boys also descended with Lord Chaitanya, but they were followers of Lord Nityananda mostly. You were talking about many of the associates of Lord Nityananda were cowherd boys. There were 12 specific Gopals that came, main Gopals and others. So you're correct that most of those who were kind of counted as followers of Lord Chaitanya were in the other rasa.
Yeah, as gopis and manjaris. Thank you very much for bringing the discussion up. Any other points? Now, one thing, and I'll put this out so that we can have a discussion about that. So, Srila Prabhupada is saying that the age is divided into 12 parts, because, of course, you just talk about the Kali Yuga in the 12 parts, 1/12 of Kali Yuga, 432,000 years is 36,000 solar years. And I haven't done any research into this question so I'm putting it out, see if somebody knows about that. If it says that the age is divided into 12, then that means that the Dwapara Yuga and Satya Yuga and Treta Yuga, they also divide into Sandhyas 12 like that. My mind was, got into that because it says the age is divided into 12 parts. Is it only Kali Yuga or the other ages are divided into 12 parts? Does anybody know about that? If not, it's all right. I can look.
I don't know.
Okay. But I also know that it's been said that there's sometimes a change from one age to the other. Of course, there are things that do happen going from one age or to another. And again, there was the devotee that was preaching and said sometimes the things that happen in one age can go into the other age, which is in a sense believable, especially the practice. The chanting of holy name is the Yugadam for Kali Yuga, but we're still doing deity worship, which is the Yugadam for Dwapara Yuga. So I don't know if somebody can comment about that too.
Well, the main emphasis is the chanting of the holy names. Those are associated things. Yeah. And about your point about your question about the different portions of previous yugas, if I'm not mistaken, and this is my memory may be faulty, but in when there's the discussion of Srila Vyasadev's appearance, he appeared at the last portion of the Sandhya of Dvapara Yuga. So apparently they do have divisions also, but whether they're the same, the same 12 or whether they're that duration, I don't know that part.
I'm
but
not sure. Okay.
We know that there are the Sandhya parts are there. So how they are, I don't know.
Okay, that would be something. We know that Sri Papa has made it clear that for Kali Yuga is 12 order. That much we know from this. Okay. So any other comments or questions?
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
Hare Krishna. Jai Sri Papa.
Wonderful class and then wonderful comment by Vishnugada Prabhu also. Thank you so much. Yeah, so nice. I was just thinking on that past time you narrated, Prabhuji, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu defeated Digvijay Pandit. I think his name was Keshav Kashmiri.
Yes.
Yeah. The way Lord defeat is he defeat in secluded alone, and Lord thought that if he defeats in whole assembly, he will not able to carry or live, and he will give up his life. So he just defeats in two sessions. One day, he defeats and he says that you are tired. We'll meet again tomorrow, and he get the dream he meets the
Saraswati.
Saraswati explains this. So I was just thinking on the how Lord mercifully, takes care of his jiva, even though he was, so much, with ego, but still
Mhm.
Lord gave him the mercy and took care nicely and gave his blessings and made him the devotee. I was just thinking of how Lord is merciful.
The Lord, yeah, he was all mercy. So much mercy is there. So much mercy from Lord Chaitanya. The way he played that, yeah, he just stopped him because more discussion probably would have meant more embarrassment. So so he had him, and here I am, we've been chuckling a little bit about it, which is not the best thing. But yeah, he had him come the next day, but then at the night, the day was defined for him the next day by Goddess Saraswati himself by saying, you're going to meet the Supreme Personality of Godhead again. It's a 16-year-old boy. So again, now he had to be humble. Be humble.
Right. I think that time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's students were there. I had recently heard this pastime in Chaitanya Bhagavad. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's students were there and they laughed, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told them not to do that. That's not
Okay, so that was from Chaitanya Bhagavat then.
Chaitanya Bhagavad. Yes.
Okay, yeah, all right. So then Vishigara Prabhu is saying that it was not in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. But yeah, the pastimes are in both books, and it's nice to read both to get a good sense of the pastimes and the different parts of it and how it happened. And as you well know, Gaga Samhita adds different pastimes, adds more to it too.
Right, additional pastimes are there.
Oh yeah, so much of them. And okay, so
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Any comments? Other comments? Questions? If not, then we thank you for coming this morning, wherever you were, to hear this class, wonderful class. Everything about not me saying wonderful things, but the Lord is wonderful. Everything you talk about, if it's correct, is wonderful. And the discussions also get us to know more about things. We learn more from each other by that association. So thank you, and hopefully you continue to come every time this program is on. Vancha kalpatarubhascha kripasundibhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna jai.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna jai.
Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Glory to Srila Prabhupada.